Coming to you live from Nairobi, Kenya, this is TV47 Weekend. Welcome to your number one news trusted channel. This is TV47 Weekend, to top 3 picks just for you. Tonight, the decision by the Supreme Court of Kenya to declare discrimination against the LGBTQ community unconstitutional and affirming the right to association elicits mixed reactions.
Kati Mungu aliumba Adamu, hakumpatia mwanaume, ampatia mwanamke.
Also tonight, Trade CS Moses Kuria and Foreign Affairs PS Korera Singoi differ publicly on China's Square Mall operations.
It's quite reasonable and, pocket friendlier. So as a family, we decided to come and shop today. Well, it's like, with the current economic times, of course.
The retailer announcing that the shop will remain closed indefinitely to allow time to sort out a number of issues. Plus, Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Lands leader Raila Odinga has sustained his pressure on the government. This is a section of leaders drawn from some of the opposition strongholds denouncing the demonstrations as planned by the coalition. Good evening, welcome to the broadcast. Rhoda Mwende is on the sign language interpretation. My name is Stanley Irungita. Now to top story, the Azimio brigade has criticized the government's handling of the economy and accused it of failing to help citizens. The team spoke at a rally in Trans Nzoia County today, which was attended by several high-profile political leaders, including Azimio leader Raila Odinga, Martha Karua, Kalonzo Musyoka, former governors, MPs, and several senators.
In a political gathering held today in Kitale town, Azimio leader Raila Odinga led a group of high-ranking politicians, including Martha Karua, Kalonzo Musyoka, former governors, MPs, and senators, who expressed more concern about what they said was the government's lack of initiative to help mwananchi. During the meeting, the discussion shifted to economic and politics, with several leaders criticizing the government policies.
Bei ya mafuta iko wapi? Bei ya fertilizer iko wapi? Bei ya demu iko wapi? Watu wanaumia waumii. Watu wanaumia waumii. Bei ya maisha imetushinda baba. Unga inatulemea haswa sisi vijana wa Mulembe. Hii mwili vile mnaona ilikuwa kama ya huyu Enoch. Lakini angalia vile nakata weight bwana. Kwa sababu unga imetushinda, si ndio? Watu wa bottom up, watu wa Kenya kwanza waliwadanganya. Hata nyinyi hapa waliwahadaa. Si walisema pesa mfukoni? Kuna pesa umeweka kwa mifuko yenu?
Odinga's father asked foreign countries not to meddle in Kenyan affairs and to respect the country's decision-making processes.
Nimesikia wanasema tio sasa baba analeta kuleta fujo, asikubaliwe kuzuru kwenda katika nchi zingine ng'ambo. Mimi sina haja, lakini sisi ni wa Kenya. Kama tuna shida, sisi wa Kenya ndio tuko na jukumu ya kutengeneza shida yetu.
Na kama kwa maono yako ukifikiria mahali kuzuri ni Ulaya, sisi hapa Kenya ndio kuzuri kushinda mahali ingine.
The leaders called for the opening of IEBC servers to give Kenyans a glimpse of what happened during the last poll elections.
Mimi naongea kwa madaha, siwezi kutishwa. Unanitisha namna gani nilikushinda? Unanitisha mimi nilikushinda? Kama unasema sikushinda, fungua sava. Kama wewe ni mwanaume, fungua sava. Twende pale na wataalamu tuangalie. Ukweli itatoka. Usiambie Wakenya maendeleo, nafanya maendeleo, mimi naenda kufungua bandari, sio viwanda najengwa hapa, hiyo taka bwana. Kwanza tujue kama ulishinda uchaguzi au kunyima uchaguzi.
Isaac Famba, TV47, Trans Nzoia County.
And at the same time, the push by the Azimio la Umoja led by Raila Odinga to disregard the William Ruto-led Kenya Kwanza government has suffered a blow, with a section of leaders allied to the coalition Apidams over the plan by Azimio. Some leaders drawn from Ukambani are now calling on Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka to desist from attending the countrywide rallies. Mwega William with the details.
The recently launched campaign by the Azimio Brigade has suffered a major blow after a section of leaders drawn from Makueni County in Ukambani, a region which is perceived to politically support Raila Odinga, called on Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka to forsake the Azimio rallies, which have been calling on Kenyans not to recognize William Ruto's presidency. The leaders, led by former Mbooni Member of Parliament Michael Kisoi, have urged Kalonzo to focus on his duty as an opposition leader.
We want to tell also the Wiper leaders to desist from the doublespeak. You cannot one time tell the governors that they are free to meet the president. At the same time, you're also telling the members of parliament they're not free to meet the president. That is doublespeak. It's either you're with the government or you're not with the government.
Leaders from Tana River County have also criticized Odinga for continuing to protest against the presidential results after last year's election, saying that the process was done once the Supreme Court pronounced itself on the matter.
Huyo mzee angekuwa ameheshimiwa, angekuwa kama Mandela wa Kenya. Lakini kila kukicha, unajua akili pia huzeeka. Sasa yeye anajisahau na anapotosha vijana ambao hawana kazi.
Elsewhere, leaders from the Mount Kenya region have expressed their disappointment towards former President Uhuru Kenyatta following his declaration that he still supports Raila Odinga politically.
Tulikupatia uongozi miaka 10, ukaenda ukafanya handshake na wale watu ulikuwa unasema wapitandawili, hii nchi ikaharibika. Kwa hivyo tuwakuomba na unyenyekevu, tafadhali endelea kufanya kazi ile ulipewa, ama urudi kwa siasa, kwa sababu wanaume ni kuonana.
Sasa university watoto walikuwa nalipa 15,000. Sasa imeongezwa imefika 45. Na hiyo mzazi siku ya leo hana hata chakula ya nyumbani. Alikuwa nakosa 15, 45 itatoka wapi? Ninyi serikali mlituambia sisi ni mahasara. Usituharibie nani?
Odinga and the Azimio faction have been touring different counties protesting some of President Ruto's policies, such as the removal of subsidies such as flour and petrol, a move they say has contributed to the increasing cost of living. Mwega William, TV 47.
And from matters politics to matters security, President William Ruto has stated that guns should only be used by the police, further noting that pastoralists should look for alternative methods of grazing the livestock. Speaking in Lamu County Sunday, the head of state maintained that his government will not relent in flashing out the bandits terrorizing residents in the northern parts of Kenya. Have a look.
County.
5 cows have been stolen in Kapushen village, Tambach ward in West Pokot County. These security officers continue to step up efforts to retrieve the livestock. In a phone conversation with TV47, Police Inspector Aston Kambi said that the owner of the livestock has reported the matter and that different security units are working together to end the incessant attacks and flush out the bandits.
Kwa muda huu tunavyoongea, Inspector Rono of GSU hapo Tonu ndo nafuatilia hizo ng'ombe, na tuna imani kuwa tutapata jawabu ama tutapata information zaidi kuona kwamba zilikuwa recovered. Tumeweza pia kuongea na local administrators, that is the chief, assistant chief hapo Kamalei, Mr. Benjamin Chesire, awasiliane nao pia na upande wa administrative wa upande wa Marakwet, tuone kuwa tutaweza saidiana namna gani na wakazi ili tuweze kuretrieve zile ng'ombe.
Kabla ng'ombe haichapelekwa mbali, tungetaka commissioner wa West Pokot na waziri wa ulinzi Kindiki wapatiane order askari wa undistracted Kamele na jeshi wa Kamele wafuate ng'ombe haraka.
Tunaumia kama maasila saba senda. Hatujui kabisa hao wakora wako wapi. Mtusaidie tu kabisa. Hiyo ndio tunaomba kabisa. Sisi tuko tu busy kufanya kazi yetu ya asila, kutafuta tu jasho yetu.
According to President William Ruto, however, the use of guns by the pastoralists in the northern part of Kenya has led to the increase in the attacks, which has also seen a number of lives lost, with the president noting that only police officers are allowed to have guns.
Hizi kuna operation kubwa inaendelea kule North Rift kwa sababu wale wajeuri bandits ambao wametuzoea, mimi nimewaambia safari hii hakuna mtu ataruhusiwa kutembewa na bunduki anachunga ng'ombe. Kila mtu atafute fimbo aende achunge ng'ombe. Mambo ya bunduki ni ya askari.
Speaking in Lamu, the head of state further noted that the country has partnered with the frontline states, which include Kenya, Djibouti, Ethiopia and Somalia, to deal with the terrorism that has affected the countries, with Lamu County greatly affected by recent attacks by Al-Shabaab.
Tumekubaliana vile tutakabiliana na hawa magaidi na tuhakikishe ya kwamba usalama sio tafadhali. Usalama ni haki ya kila mwananchi wa taifa letu la Kenya.
Now, China Square has announced an indefinite closure due to a number of issues that need to be sorted out, including providing sufficient security. In a notice posted on their official social media pages on Sunday, the retailer stated that there was a shortage of tills and misleading statements on its operations, among other issues.
The ongoing public debate on the Chinese Square retail shop has, among other issues, caused the retailer to close temporarily. The notice on Sunday stated that the closure will be indefinite, as there were more issues that needed to be addressed. These issues include not just security concerns, but also a shortage of tills and misleading statements on the shop's operations.
I'm a Nairobi resident. Originally, of course, from Mombasa. In fact, I got the news about this mall from my relatives in Mombasa that it's quite reasonable and, you know, pocket friendlier. So as a family, we decided to come and shop today. Well, it's like, you know, with the current economic times, of course, people want quality, but yes, at a reasonable rate. So we don't understand, how come they've closed this place?
The management of China Square has apologized to its customers for any inconvenience that the indefinite closure may cause, further assuring their commitment to resolving the issues as soon as possible. The debate around the retailer's operations has also seen some senior members of the Kenya Kwanza administration give differing statements on the shop. Trade Cabinet Secretary Moses Kuria had expressed his intention to lock out the Chinese traders from the business and proposed that Kenyatta University Vice Chancellor Paul Wainaina purchase all spaces from the mall traders and reserve them for local traders.
And healthy competition should be allowed. That's what I believe. Wherever they are coming from, as long as they are paying our government the taxes due, and they can afford to sell it in a more pocket-friendlier price, there should be. That is what I believe.
However, Foreign Affairs Principal Secretary Korir Sing'oei has expressed support for China Square owner Lei Cheng in response to Trade Cabinet Secretary Moses Kuria's proposal to lock out Chinese traders from the business.
Natoka sehemu tumetoka Madare Referral and Teaching Hospital. Tulikuwa tumekuja kuangalia mambo ya vitu hapa. Tulikuwa nasikia bei ya vitu imepungua kidogo Kenya hii. Sasa unajua kila mtu katika nchi anaenda pahali sehemu anaweza kusikia nafuu kidogo.
In a statement issued on Sunday, February 26th, Sing'oei reassured Cheng that he need not be worried about Kuria's calls to buy out his lease at the Uni City Mall and hand it over to local traders.
Manze, I'm a rider. Me ubebea wase staffs. So since China Square come, manze I've been broking these staffs. Nimekuwa nikizichukua naenda nauzia wase. But man, leo nimekam shattered doors manze, alafu manze ilikuwa employ wase wengi, several number of people, and it's so bad manze. They should get this stuff standing again manze.
Sing'oei emphasized that as long as Cheng had obtained the necessary licenses legally, there was no cause for alarm.
Okay, now to another controversial story in the country. The recent ruling by the Supreme Court of Kenya, which declared discrimination against the LGBTQ community unconstitutional and affirmed the right to association, has sparked strong reactions from the religious organizations. Some are vehemently opposed to the ruling, while others, such as the Homa Bay Member of Parliament, Peter Kaluma, are working to pass legislation that will impose life imprisonment or a comparable sentence on those convicted of homosexuality or other unnatural sexual acts.
In the verdict by the Supreme Court, discrimination against the LGBTQ community is unconstitutional and the community now has a right to register their own association. In a majority judgment, the Apex Court upheld the decision of the High Court and the Court of Appeal, which found the NGO Coordination Board violated the right to freedom of association by refusing to register an NGO that championed the rights of the LGBTQ community. The ruling appears to have anchored a section of religious leaders. The Evangelical Alliance of Kenya says the ruling threatens the society's social fabric and the essence of family unit. The alliance is also worried about the wellness of learners in schools and institutions of higher learning.
We therefore wish to, number one, encourage Kenyans, the church and all believers and leaders of integrity to remain firm, uphold, defend the faith, and choose to be faithful to what is right and godly.
We shall not sit at the fence and watch them destroy our land and our second and our next generation. This time, the church, we've been so soft.
In Machakos County, religious leaders have also condemned the ruling, saying it contradicts the biblical teachings on marriage.
Wakati Mungu aliumba Adamu, hakumpatia mwanaume, ampatia mwanamke. Alimpatia Hawa, akawa bibi yake. Na kwa hiyo mambo hiyo inaweza kuleta laana na dhambi ikiingia ndani ya nchi, mtaanza kuona watu wanakufa kwa wingi kwa njia mbaya.
Homa Bay Town Member of Parliament Peter Kaluma plans to table a motion that prohibits homosexuality in the country, with offenders facing imprisonment for life. A section of Kenyans we spoke to had this to say about the whole matter.
Kama wananchi wa Kenya wasifikirie tu kila kitu kinachokuja waweze kukikubali. Lazima kuna mambo mengine waangalie ndani. Maana hata kama hujasomeshwa kitu kinyume, weza kupatana watu wa jinsia moja. Wananchi pia wakaweza tu kuona na waseme sauti moja ya kwamba tunapinga.
Wanawake wakiona kwa wanawake, wanaume tutaenda wapi? Wanaume wakiona, mwanaume nikikuuliza wewe, mwanaume anaweza sarisha, ana uwezo wa kushika mimba. So hilo hatutakubali.
A section of religious leaders have vowed to fight tooth and nail to protect what they term as proper integrity in the society. Collins Lusweti, TV47, Nairobi.
Now, in a move towards transitioning to clean energy, the government has issued 25 billion Kenyan shillings to a contractor for the manufacture of a gas plant. President William Ruto made the announcement during a Thanksgiving service in Lamu County on Sunday, where he also stated that gas taxation will be removed to reduce gas prices. However, the move has been met with a backlash from opposition politicians who claim that it was meant to benefit a few individuals within the government.
As the cost of living continues to skyrocket for many Kenyans, the Kenya Kwanza government has announced an ambitious program aimed at making local cooking gas more affordable. During a Thanksgiving service in Lamu Sunday, the head of state made a promise to Kenyans that within the next 3 years, all households in the country will have access to affordable cooking gas. The head of state has revealed that the Kenyan government has already issued a contract worth 25 billion shillings to a gas manufacturing company as part of its effort to transition towards clean energy.
Tumepata kampuni itaweka shilingi bilioni 25 kutengeneza kiwanda ya gas, kuhakikisha ya kwamba tunabadilisha ile taratibu tulio nayo, hasa mambo ya kukata miti na kutumia katika upishi kama kuni.
During the launch of the Taifa Gas LPG terminal in Mombasa on Friday, the president called on the top managers of Kenya Pipeline Company Limited, KPC, to increase their capacity to provide reserves for cheaper LPG gas from Tanzania. The project that is aimed at lowering the cost of cooking gas in Kenya will see an increase in capacity from 30,000 tons to 45,000 tons of LPG gas.
Miaka mitatu ijayo tutabadilisha, tuhakikishe ya kwamba kila homestead, kila mji, kila boma itakuwa na mtungi ya gas ambaye itapatianwa na serikali, ndio tukomeshe kabisa matumizi ya kuni ambayo inaadhiri kina mama wetu. Moshi, mambo yale madhara mengine ya magonjwa.
Issuing a warning to unscrupulous coking gas traders in the country, the head of state affirmed plans to eliminate the use of wood fuel as it posed a health risk to users.
Tumesema tunabadilisha mambo ya upishi wetu iwe tunatumia clean energy, na hiyo ni mpango tumeanzisha Ijumaa, na mimi nataka niwatangazie wale wanafanya biashara chafu ya mambo ya gesi ya kwamba siku zenu zinahesabiwa, lazima mkomeshe hiyo biashara, na tayari nimeambia wizara ambayo inahusika na fedha ya kwamba going into the next budget, katika budget inayofuata tutaondoa ile ushuru yote inawekwa kwa mambo ya gesi.
Kenyans have welcomed the move, saying that this will provide a comfortable environment for common mwananchi.
Shukuru serikali kwa kutupunguzia bei ya gasi. Twashukuru Mungu, hata mimi mwenyewe natumia makaa, lakini saa hii nitanunua gasi nianze kupika na gasi, manake tunatabika sana. Twashukuru Mungu.
According to the opposition, the government's allocation of funds to a gas manufacturing company raises questions about the transparency and fairness of the process. The opposition claims that the move was meant to benefit a few individuals in the government, as opposed to what President William Ruto said.
Kwa sababu Ruto mwenyewe yako katika hiyo kampuni ya gasi. Unasikia? Hatuwezi kukubali. Unajua, we are not fools. We know. Tunajua wale wakora ni kina nani. Jana walituambia ya kwamba bei ya gas imerudishwa chini, ya kwamba hakuna tax ya gas. Niwaulize, mnaweza kula gas? Ukipewa gas hata ya bure bila chakula, utakula hiyo gas? Tunataka bei ya unga wapi? Bei ya sukari wapi? Bei ya mahindi wapi?
Tuachane na fitina ambavyo havina msingi na tujenge taifa letu.
The president said he was confident that the economy had stabilized and the next focus will be to address the cost of living. Mike Kagwongo, TV 47.
And to matters health, 4 people, including 2 secondary school students, have lost their lives as a result of the cholera outbreak in Mandera County. This is according to the County Health CEC Mohammed Eda, who says that as of now, the county has reported a total of 622 cholera cases with a hospitalization rate of 35 people per day. Zaida Mohammed with more.
According to Mandera County Health CEC Mohammed Eda, the county government is currently conducting contact tracing and water treatment in all the areas where the outbreak has been confirmed, with hygiene education being conducted among the residents within those areas.
Hali ya ugonjwa wa kipindupindu hapa Mandera kutoka tarehe 15 Januari mpaka wa leo, wale watu ambao kwamba wamepata hii ugonjwa ni watu 622. Kati yao wale ambao kwamba wamehakikishwa wamekufa na kolera ni 3. Na hiyo namba imeongezeka, mtoto mmoja ambaye kwamba leo ameletwa Mandera, ikiwa Mandera Cholera Treatment Center, Mandera Town Cholera Treatment Center, akiwa amekufa.
Mohammed further says all areas likely to escalate the transmission of the disease, including eateries and restaurants, will be subjected to strict regulations by the county government.
Idara inafanya kila juhudi pamoja na kuhakikisha kuwa maji inatibiwa huko kwenye wells. Na katika town pia kuna community health workers wanazunguka kutoka kwa nyumba moja hadi nyingine kuhakikisha tangi za maji zimetibiwa. Nyumba ambazo kwamba wale watu wagonjwa wametoka, watu wanapatiwa dawa ya kuhakikisha kuwa watu hawatapata kolera. Tunahakikisha kuwa school health programs zinafanyika, tunahakikisha kila shule iko na maji. Tunaambia management wahakikisha iko na maji na hizo maji ni maji safi. Choo na nini ziko sawa na ziko za kutosha.
He has urged all residents to maintain high levels of cleanliness and adhere to the provided guidelines in order to curb the spread of the disease. The outbreak has also been confirmed in the neighboring counties of Wajir and Garissa. In Mandera County, the most affected areas include Mandera East, West and South. Zainab Mohammed, T47.
Now, meanwhile, the Kenyan higher education system has recently received many proposals for improvements, some of which involve fee increases and the privatization of Kenyan universities. However, Kenyan leaders, students and university lecturers have opposed the recent proposals on higher education with claims that it might collapse the education system.
A few days ago, the Education Task Force made a recommendation for an increase in university fees, but the recommendation was not well accepted as it involved a fee increase from 16,000 Kenya shillings to between 48 and 52,000 Kenya shillings.
EBS,
Following this, Machakos County Deputy Governor Francis Mwangangi has urged the national government to provide free education to all Kenyans, arguing that doing so will help end the country's struggle with student loan debts. The Deputy Governor has called for free learning to be implemented in universities and vocational centers across the nation, stating that it will benefit as many Kenyans as possible. According to the Deputy Governor, many parents in the country cannot even afford to provide their children with 3 meals a day, let alone pay for university education.
There is no country that is going to develop unless we put seriously our focus to education. I ask the government, the national government, there is no way this country is going to be transformed unless we take our education very seriously. To that end, we know the last Jubilee government emphasized on vocational training institutes across the country where students were to go learn freely. I ask the government to continue with that policy. It's very important.
Wiper Youth Coordinator in Machakos County, Felix Mambo, stated in a statement that a majority of Kenyans will refrain from attending university in the future owing to the high tuition rates if the government does not step in and reduce the fees for students in public universities.
Imekuwa ni changamoto kubwa sana vijana na haswa katika familia ambazo zimetoka chini kujikimu kimaisha na vile vile kuwa na uwezo ya kulipa karo ya shule. Kwa hivyo mimi niseme kwa serikali hiyo laini mnataka kuchukua, mtakuwa mmedhalilisha jamii ya mwanarika ambayo ndio kubwa kiasi kubwa katika nchi yetu ya Kenya.
Meanwhile, days after the Trade and Investment Cabinet Secretary Moses Kuria announced the government plan to privatize some government entities, including public universities, former Chuka University Councillor Professor Erastus Njoka has urged the government not to privatize university as the country tries to fill the gap on workers. Speaking during the Mount Kenya Education Fair held in Mwea, where he was the chief guest, Professor Njoka has said privatizing university will be a way of collapsing the education system.
The technical institutions are very important because without them, we won't have workers. Technical institutions teach workers. That is what is happening. If we have very few technical people, we will have very expensive labor. But when we have very many of them, we will be able to do it.
Norbert Oduor, TV 47.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will hear.
Well, that particular story by Norbert Oduor takes us to a fast short break. We'll definitely be right back. You're watching TV 47 Weekend.
As you enter a new phase of life, you may seem lost until you discover the passion within.
I'm happy that MKU decided to open a branch in Malindi to make work easier for those parents who have never been away from their kids or children.
It has all the equipment that I need to study and all the facilities that I need.
We have one of the most beautiful and ultra-modern structure.
Join us at Mount Kenya University and Equip Africa Institute Malindi Odell Center to build your future. Intake in April for electronic learning and May for distance learning. Mount Kenya University.
Unlocking infinite possibilities.
Karibuni.
Mount Kenya.
Hey!
Kaluma King Herbal Lozenges zinazo nguvu maradufu kutuliza kikohozi, vidonda vya koo na mafua. Kaluma King ni shwari.
Chika mama huyo muharifu kaiba kuku zangu, vifaranga wangu na mayai zote pia kabeba. Chika mama huyo.
Maumivu yakizidi, muone daktari.
Trisent School of Medical Health Science and Technology is a premier training institute for market-driven courses. With state-of-the-art facilities, competent and dedicated members of staff, and linkages with the medical industry, you are assured of a bright future when you study with us. Enroll today in our campuses at Juja, Nairobi West, Kisumu, and Homa Bay.
Je, maumivu ya kichwa na kukosesha amani? Kaluma Strong hutuliza maumivu ya kichwa, maumivu ya mwili na hata huondoa joto jingi mwilini. Kaluma Strong ina aspirin kama kiungo. Maumivu yakizidi, muone daktari.
It's 30 minutes past the top of the hour. Thank you for your patronage so far. Now, family in Isango village, Tungutu location, Kitui Central Sub-County is currently unable to bury their father due to a pending land dispute case at Kitui Court. Relatives of the deceased spoke to the media at the deceased's home and revealed that the complainant in the case is using security officers from Tungutu Chief's police post to harass them. The complainant filed the land dispute case claiming ownership of the disputed land parcel, which she alleged was sold to her by the brother of the deceased in 1997. However, the complainant was not issued a title deed for the parcel upon buying it from the deceased brother, who is also deceased. As a result of the pending case, the deceased's body has been lying at Kitui Level 4 Hospital mortuary since July 1st of last year, when the complainant obtained a court order to stop the burial from taking place at the deceased's home farm.
Alihaga tarehe 1 mwezi wa 7 2022, na tulikuwa kwa ile process ya kupangilia matanga. On Thursday saa 10 tuliletewa barua, tukaambiwa court order, tukaambiwa hatufai kuzikana mpaka tuapie kwa court. Sisi tulitii koti, tukaenda kwa court, tulisomewa mashtaka, ikasemekana tunataka kuzika Boniface Muthoka Kimweli ambapo ndiye baba yetu, tunataka kumzika kwa kicheka ya Milinga Maingi.
Amekaa Mosel kwa miezi 8. Ni mama amekuja akasema hii kichaka ni yake. Akasema hiyo maiti haitachikwa hapa. Hiyo daidondis ni ya zamani. Hata baba yetu akikufa tulikuwa naye. Yeye ametupatia baba. Ningeomba serikali nisaidie niweze kuchika bwana yangu.
Now, as Kenya transformed politically and even socially from the 1950s to the late 1980s, the music industry was just getting started. The reintroduction and the introduction of vinyl records in the country brought people together in its own way and style. Now, in fact, it was whispered that if you had a record player back in the day, you were more prominent than your area chief. Well, tonight we interact with the vintage pieces, which surprisingly the young generation has started to flirt with. Let's take a trip down memory lane. Back to a time when bell-bottom pants were in style and the music of artists like George Fombe, Temi Winnet, Sam Mangwana and Daudi Kabaka filled the airwaves. These were the sounds that defined an era.
In the 70s, if you had a record player in the village, you were even more important than the chief, because you were the hero. And everybody would gather up at the house or take out his record player to the church and play. You know, it was good times there.
Since the 1970s, Melodica Music Stores along Tomboya Street has been the one-stop shop for everything vinyl. Fast forward to the 21st century, and the vinyl records are still at the heart of many.
Sits inside the groove, and the groove is not straight, it's kind of rugged.
Abdul Karim, who inherited the business from his father, Pravinia Daudia, says this is an archive of Africa's classical beats. You just need to hum the song or mention the name of the musician and they will avail the record.
I've been collecting for so long, and I still am, but now I'd rather sell most of them, because having music which is not being played, to me is like, it's not enjoyable anymore. I got thousands, so better sell it and it goes to a good home, a new home.
For Eric Namai, holding this record by Franco Luambo brings back memories of him growing up in Nairobi's Eastleigh area. Namai, who was born when Melodica began in 1971, is a frequent customer here.
I've got my own record player and also bought from my dad also. Like the one which you've seen here, I have that one, mine and from my dad. But also I bought another one from a friend from Britain. He had a Philips, they were the one with the red cover, Philips recorder. That's also I have it in my house.
Melodica boasts of both local and international clientele who travel from the USA, Europe and even Australia to get their hands on some of the original records, while others prefer to place their order through a phone call.
Just got an order for 3 Indian albums. That guy is from Canada. 2 African Zyrian albums. That guy is from Japan. Wow. And 1 single Ethiopian record from my collection, and that one is going to England. And those orders were just for today.
The vinyl records come in different sizes, the smallest being 7 inches, which is played with a speed of 45 revolutions per minute, or if you like, RPM. A 10-inch record is played with a speed of 78 RPM, and the large one that I'm holding is played with a speed of 33 RPM. I am also informed that the records should be cleaned by a dry piece of cloth frequently and handled with care so that the next generation of collectors can enjoy it. 50 years later, and the technological age of the vinyl records has been overtaken by the digital music streaming services. But Karim says the new age has opened doors for a wider audience, including the younger generation, which has started to flirt with the idea of collecting vinyls.
To buy nowadays is becoming, for me to buy, the quantity is less and less and less. Because it's hard, very hard now to get with people who sell their records. Oh, the variations of it have gone down. But the buyers have increased a lot, really immensely a lot. Even young people are into it nowadays. They don't care if it's hip hop or if it's Lingala, like that. They just, country, whatever, if they like it, they buy it. I've got young people coming in, which I'm very happy and surprised. Not surprised, I knew vinyl would come back one day.
An example of a young soul is Saidi Kinyonga, who was brought up listening to the boy band Simba Wanyika.
Favorite yangu na kwangani mzae wangu Simba Wanyika. Inaitwa Dunia Haina Wema. Tenda wema uende zako. Hiyo ndo my favorite music. na iko hapo ni album. Kwanza ikiplay nasikianga tu niko very, yani na feeling proud na feeling niko okay.
So this to me is gold.
Over the years, the music industry has evolved to what we know now, but Abdul says vinyls aren't going anywhere.
Because if we try to run out of vinyls, I'll start pressing them brand new.
For many like Abdul Karim, the calmness that comes with listening to the vinyl records knows no boundary, a clear testimony that old is gold. Stanley Nyerungita, TV 47. Definitely old is definitely gold. Now, during a mid-morning landing attempt at Kampi ya Samaki airstrip in Baringo County, a light aircraft with registration number 5YPEC, which was traveling from Narok, crashed into a perimeter wall near Sendai Resort along the shores of Lake Baringo. Now, as a result of the accident, 2 passengers sustained serious injuries and were rushed to Marigat Sub-County Hospital for medical attention. Assistant County Commissioner Charles Gumba confirmed the incident, stating that the aircraft was attempting to land at the airstrip at the time of the crash.
Lazima watakuja wanauliza kama nini, wanasema wanaiona saa hii, si ndio? Unajua wanaiona
Alafu kuna mwili pia iko kwa maji inaletwa.
And the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights is undertaking a capacity building of alternative justice mechanisms across the counties, where the focus is to empower duty bearers who are Ministry of Interior through chiefs, National Police Service, elders, religious leaders and other stakeholders. While on a tour of duty in Embu County, residents were encouraged to embrace alternative dispute resolution mechanisms on allowed disputes, adding that it will reduce the backlog at the courts.
Even as we are having this conversation, thousands of people are seated somewhere resolving disputes. So for that reason, it was thought important to consider how these people are resolving those disputes and support those alternative justice mechanisms, because they are equally contributing to access to justice in this country. There are people who, for one or two reasons, may not even be ready to support the formal or the court system as we know it. So it is for that reason why a former Chief Justice, Dr. Willy Mutunga, appointed a national task force to look into all those other ways that Kenyans are using to access justice. And this is also informed by the realization or the reality that the judiciary is obligated to promote alternative justice systems.
Serikali yenyewe inataka watu waweze kuwa wanatengeneza makesi yao yenye sio kubwa kupitia kwa alternative dispute resolution ambayo ni ADR. Na ninaona hii masomo itasaidia sana, manake hakutakuwa na kesi mingi kotini. Chiefs watakuwa na kazi ya kufanya, na wenye wote wamesoma hii masomo wataweza kusaidia jamii hapa Embu.
Right now, residents of Mwea and Kirinyaga County have decried the iniquities in the allocation and distribution of resources in the county. The residents have noted that the current formula for the distribution of the national government Constituency Development Fund, that is NGCDF, and other government opportunities is not fair, as huge constituencies continue to receive equal resources with those with little population. According to the former Deputy Governor, Peter Ndambiri, the constituency should be split into 3 or more constituencies during the boundary delimitation slated for later this year. Former Mwea MP Alfred Nderitu said that the constituency has a very huge population of over 600,000 people and over 200,000 registered voters as per the latest IBC data.
To take anything less than 3 constituencies. If they cannot give us 3 constituencies, let them forget Mwea as a land. We can live alone. We can select our people and leave them, but unless they give us 3, so that we march over with the rest. It pains me when I see in Mandera a child is getting 150,000 shillings, when a child in Mwea is getting 2,000 bob. A child in Muranga is getting 50,000 bob, when a child in Mwea is getting 2,000 shillings. It's paining me totally. And that's why I'm saying we have no politics at all.
The purpose of this meeting is to ensure that no more side draining of Mwea shall continue. We know that there is a very elaborate plan to get Morinduko to go to Geshogo. There is an elaborate plan to take Nyangate to Kirinyaga Central. There is an elaborate plan to take Motidhiwad to Dia. We are saying none of that will be taken to any other sub-county. Mwea will remain Mwea, and we are demanding 3 constituencies in Mwea.
Now, cases of HIV infections in Marakwet County have increased among children between the ages of 10 to 24. This is according to the National Syndemic Diseases Control Council Chief Officer Douglas Bosire. Speaking during the launch of the mobilization and testing program in the county, Marakwet County Governor Wesley Rotich showed concerns on early pregnancies and the high level of HIV infections among small children. Through this, the governor has asked the judicial departments to take strong action on those who have such behaviors of unknowingly spreading the disease.
They're not going to take anything less than 3 constituencies. If they cannot give...
Mimi kwa majina naitwa Bosire Douglas, natoka kwa kitengo cha National Syndemic Disease Control Council. Leo tumekuwa na siku ya ile tunaita World Sick Day. So tukaona iko wagonjwa pia ambao sometimes tunasahau kwamba wako na hawa ni wagonjwa wale wanaishi na virusi vya HIV ama wanaishi na ugonjwa wa ukimwi ule ambao tulikuwa tumefikiria umepotea. Na tumekuja kuhamasishana na kuambiana bado huko hapa kwa Elgeyo Marakwet County and more so kwa vijana wadogo katikati ya miaka 10 na 24. Tumeweza kuona takwimu zinatuambia maeneo ama visa vipya vya maambukizi vya HIV yanaenea sana kwa watoto. Na watoto ndio wanapata mimba za utotoni na pia ndio wanadhulumiwa kijinsia.
Tunaanza program inaitwa medical camps kwa all medical camps and screening for 20 wards. Kwa hivyo tumeanza leo kwa Kamarin ward na tutaenda kwa ile ward zingine 19. Tumesema ya kwamba tutafanya screening, tutafanya prevention across the county ili tupunguze budget yetu ya kutreat watu, na pia we want to condemn hao wenye wanapachika mimba watoto wadogo. Mtoto ya class 4, class 5, watoto wadogo sana. Na ni mtu mzima akili timamu anapachika mtoto mdogo mimba, kuharibu maisha ya mtoto na kuumiza hata huyo mtoto kiafya. Mimi kama governor eneo hili, na tumesema na viongozi wote kutoka senator, MPs mpaka chief huko chini, tumesema